just a concrete wall.
The Anatomy of the Great Khali Explored. Giant wrestlers have been a part of wrestling folklore since Andre the Giant first stepped foot in a wrestling ring. Since the Ninth Wonder of the World, wrestlers like Big Show, Mark Henry, and, to an extent, Kane and The Undertaker have held the baton of being the resident super heavyweight performers in the WWE. But the list doesn't end here. Some were not as great as these men, but still were certified giants. Chief among them, the Great Khali, whose skyscraper-like stature has rarely been seen in the WWE. But how large was he actually? Was his Hall of Fame induction controversial? Join us now as we examine the anatomy of the Great Khali. WCW and NJPW beginnings. Although Khali started his wrestling journey on the United States soil with All Pro Wrestling in 2000, joining WCW the next year paved the way for his sports entertainment career. Unfortunately, he was under the Turner Broadcasting-owned promotion for all but 8 months as the company disbanded in 2001. Next was a stint in the Japan-based NJPW, joining fellow Goliath Giant Silva and Masahiro Chono in Team 2000. Khali dominated the Tokyo-based organization initially before taking a pin, first in a tag team match and then later being beaten by former teammate Giant Silva in a singles match, no less. The towering performer continued to compete on Japanese shores, albeit in a different promotion in the ilk of All Japan Pro Wrestling and Mexico with CMLL. WWE comes calling. Khali had been toiling in the wrestling circuit for a better part of 6 years before he was finally signed by WWE in 2006. His debut? Well, it was a shocking interference by the Giant wrestler in SmackDown after the WrestleMania 22 event. Two super heavyweights, Mark Henry and The Undertaker, were embroiled in a Mania rematch with a freakish figure accompanied by Henry's associate Daivari entered the squared circle and attacked the dead man blatantly. The whole wrestling world was in shock as Taker had never been dominated in the manner in which Khali did. He stood atop one of WWE's top guys after making quick work of him. The mammoth performer was later confirmed to be the Great Khali, and he was immediately pitted against the Phenom in a battle of giants. The first encounter between the two in the 2006 Judgment Day pay-per-view ended in the new grappler getting the better of the experienced campaigner. Buoyed by his improbable width, Khali then challenged Taker to a new Punjabi prison match at that year's Great American Bash. However, he was not medically cleared to compete in the match, and fellow giant Big Show took his place. The former NJPW star then faced the resident dead man of WWE in a last man standing match. This time, it was Taker who got better of his Indian opponent, handing him his first loss in the Sanford-based promotion. Decoding Khali's character. Khali's whole gimmick in WWE was based on his colossal size, as he was this intimidating super heavyweight who could make other performers' lives a living hell. Donning black armbands and black pants during the start of his career with a wrestling juggernaut, he slowly and methodically headed toward the ring on the tune of his spear-instilling entrance theme. The former APW grappler did not speak directly. His manager Daivari and later Ranjit Singh functioned as his mouthpiece. Wrestlers who did not usually do their bidding with a mic and have someone else do it are a scary prospect for the rest of the roster, and it was no different for Khali. First Indian World Champion in WWE. After winning the brief feud against the Devil's favorite Demon Kane at the WrestleMania 23 event, Khali set his sights on then WWE Champion John Cena. He got his first crack at the global wrestling phenomenon's flagship title at the 2007 Judgment Day event. Although the immense wrestler dominated much of the proceedings, Cena overcame him with his signature submission maneuver, the STFU, to retain his title via tap out. However, Khali's foot was under the rope, which led him to getting another opportunity for the coveted strap at the One Night Stand pay-per-view in a Falls Count Anywhere match. The C Nation leader again got the better of his enormous adversary. Khali, though, didn't back out in pursuit of the world title even after he was drafted to SmackDown as part of the 2007 drafts. A battle royale was scheduled at an edition of SmackDown to determine the new World Heavyweight Champion after Edge had vacated the title owing to an injury. Khali won that battle royale after outlasting tough competition from the likes of Kane and Batista to become the first ever Indian to hold a world championship in the WWE. A truly remarkable feat indeed. How large was the Great Khali? WWE has been home to many a giant who have been plied their trade with the iconic wrestling promotion. The Great Khali was another inclusion in the long list of super heavyweights who have dominated the squared circle, but where does the one-time world champion lie in the all-time list of otherworldly performers? The answer would be very high. Stature-wise, Khali stood at an astounding 7 feet 1 inches. That's a terrifyingly high number, especially when you stand across such a monster-sized wrestler in the ring. When it comes to weight, Khali amassed a weight just 3 pounds shy of the 350-pound mark, which is impressive. What was truly remarkable was his chest size, which was measured at 63 inches at the peak of his wrestling career. Although there is no exact number regarding the size of his biceps, fans could be damn sure that it would have been an astronomical figure nonetheless. Did he suffer from any medical condition? The answer is sadly yes. Like some of his predecessors, Khali, too, suffered from the dreadful medical condition called acromegaly, aka gigantism. This scary ailment causes the pituitary glands to secrete excess growth hormone, hence the unusually big size of the person suffering from it. Head to the anatomy videos of Andre the Giant and Big Show in this plan to learn more about acromegaly. Thankfully, Khali underwent brain surgery in 2012 to get rid of a tumor that formed because of his precarious medical condition. The surgical procedure was successful and the Indian wrestler was back between the ropes in no time. However, the medical condition severely affected Khali's movement in the ring even after the successful surgery. Some of his signature moves. A giant's wrestling maneuvers are designed in such a manner that they show disdain towards the rival's lack of superior size. This was exactly the case with the Great Khali's moves in the squared circle, as is customary with any superstar with a semblance of towering stature. His go-to move for grounding an opponent was the big boot. Then there was a move that was specifically used by the Herculean performer, a brain chop, which saw him hit his adversaries with his huge hands vertically across their cranium, grounding them most of the time. Khali Vice was a submission maneuver that the 7-foot wrestler used in his rivals. This saw him crushing their heads by placing both their hands on their face and squeezing them with pressure. Devastating, right? Well, ask Rey Mysterio, who was on the receiving end of the Vice once, and the results were scary to say the least. Khali even squeezed a melon or two to show the enormous pressure he could exert on his opponent's heads with a vice. Finally, he used the Khali Bomb as his finisher, a modified version of the chokeslam maneuver. In this particular iteration of the move, Khali used both hands to lift the wrestlers from the mat and slammed them vociferously down on their backs. He has used this move to finish off some of the biggest superstars in WWE, namely The Undertaker, Big Show, and Kane, to name a few. Punjabi Playboy. Khali made an impact when he first arrived in WWE, if not by his wrestling chops, but by how strongly he was booked. However, his career went downward once he lost the world title. The 350-pound grappler was put in odd storylines and would mainly act as an enhancement talent, losing from superstars much smaller than him in size, severely degrading his character to almost the point of no return. And what we've seen from the Stanford-based promotion in the past is that when they bury a wrestler, they usually assign him a comedy gimmick. It was no different with Khali, as he was assigned the Punjabi Playboy character. As part of his gimmick, it would be accompanied by now manager Ranjit Singh every single week, and the towering performer would kiss whoever appeared in the Khali Kiss Cam. Although the Punjabi Playboy persona made him a fan favorite for the first time in his WWE career, there were few improvements in his booking, which remained dismal. As a result, despite his extraordinary size, Khali remained a low to mid-card player, mainly due to his lack of movement in the squared circle. Which match stipulation did he start? What would any normal individual who manages to pick up an improbable win over The Undertaker think? Well, they would consider their luck and move on. Not with a Great Khali. He did something not many would think of. He went ahead and devised the blueprint for a brand new match stipulation to take on the Phenom in the 2006 Great American Bash pay-per-view, at least in kayfabe. Funnily enough, as mentioned in a previous segment, he couldn't compete in the first ever iteration of the match type. However, Khali did come up against then world champion Batista in the No Mercy event in 2007, but ended up as the loser of the match. Oddly, the person credited with creating a strange stipulation has never won an actual match under those rules. Not that many fans complained though, as they are mostly sick of the sight of a Punjabi prison structure that involves escaping not one but two 16-foot bamboo structures to get the win. Some of the heavyweights he faced. We've already talked about his numerous battles with The Undertaker, but who are some other fellow giants who have collided with Khali? Well, for one, the 7-foot, 320-pound plus Kane came against him once in a feud. Still was nothing compared to his Godzilla vs. Kong battle against a 500-pound Big Show. Fans realized his true strength when he easily threw the 480-pound Viscera from the ring in a battle royale. Another Goliath-like wrestler who came across Khali during his career was the world's strongest man, Mark Henry. If you count, there were so many gigantic grapplers as part of the WWE roster, especially in the latter half of the 2000s, not so much now. It was such a treat for the fans. Khali's training regime. Staying in shape is an essential part of the job for a wrestler, no matter the size. A WWE superstar is expected to maintain a certain level of ring fitness, and when you're mighty, the workout is even tougher. The Great Khali's training regime included a plethora of weight and cardio exercises. In a past interview with WWE India, he admitted to being a fan of chest exercises, example bench press. The former WWE wrestler added that he was earlier more inclined towards bicep exercises, but he claimed to have lessened the burden on his bicep and focused more on his chest portion in current times. He also claimed that his bicep bars measured an astounding 260 plus pounds during his peak. Could you believe it? Regarding the exercises that Khali hated the most, he said he hates doing the squats, particularly because he had issues with the lower part of his body. Furthermore, he added that despite not liking the squats, he did it regularly without failure to keep his legs stronger. His gigantic diet. Khali has an extraordinary workout routine, and keeping his massive frame well nourished while simultaneously staying in shape might have been an enormous task for Khali during his wrestling days. Let's see how he coped with it. He spilled the beans on his eating habits in a past interaction. The former world champion said he consumed protein-based foods, carbs, fat, and fiber-based foods. He has many eggs in his diet, with him claiming to eat 50 to 70 eggs per day, with almost 15 to 20 eggs a part of each meal. Khali also intakes pulses to fulfill his protein quota, along with rice to give the required carb amounts to the body. So what does a day in his diet look like? For breakfast, he consumes milk, fruits, muesli, and of course a host of eggs. At lunchtime, Khali eats pulses, vegetables, and his beloved eggs. Dinner is usually just like lunch. It's just that sometimes he has chicken during the night meal instead of vegetables, and you've guessed it right, more eggs. When it comes to cheat meals, Khali is a self-claimed foodie and likes to try out various cuisines when he's going light on his diet. Khali's peers, who are his buddies in real life. One would think that he wouldn't have many friends by looking at Khali's on-screen character portrayal, but that's just part of a gimmick, because in real life, many of his peers share a strong bond with him. One of them has to be veteran Natalia, who has also teamed up with the Indian superstar in the past. The Canadian legend has always said good things about Khali and his success story. Another WWE wrestler, Jinder Mahal, is also tight with him. Mahal has noted Khali for paving the way for aspirants, especially those with an Indian connection. John Cena, the perennial fan favorite, is also fond of Khali's company. The two met last year when the C Nation leader visited India for a WWE tour. Exit from WWE. Wrestling is a cutthroat industry. Simply put, you've got to be either a top draw or a wrestler whose merchandise sells well for a long and fruitful career with any promotion. If one does not achieve either of those things, they should possess some exceptional or unique qualities that at least a large group of fans could relate to. Otherwise, this business has the capability to limit many talents to mid-card obscurity for life. In Khali's case, his towering stature and supreme build made his character believable. That and his hailing from a very important market for the WWE India saw him get a short-term push. However, as time went on and Khali's limitations in the squared circle became more and more apparent, the downfall of his character started. Granted, he managed to remain a part of the WWE roster till 2014, but when the wrestling juggernaut decided not to extend his contract, not many batted an eyelid. As his removal from the global wrestling phenomenon felt a long time coming, it's just that it was made official in 2014. Surprise return in 2017. After departing from the promotion in 2014, Khali was occasionally seen on the WWE programming. However, his appearance in the 2017 Battleground event was the most memorable. Then WWE champion Jinder Mahal defended his title against the Viper Randy Orton in a Punjabi prison match at Battlegrounds, just when it felt like the third-generation wrestler would escape both the cages and be crowned the new champion. Mahal's music hit. But who would it be? The Canadian Indian superstar lay in the middle of the ring. The Great Khali appeared and interfered on Mahal's behalf, preventing Orton from escaping the second bamboo cage. This allowed the champion to climb and escape both structures to retain his title. No matter how questionable it was for WWE to put its flagship title on Mahal, Khali's surprise return to the fold made it interesting, albeit for one night. Starting his own wrestling promotion back home. It's quite common for former wrestlers to use their industry know-how and train young and aspiring grapplers. On the other hand, some turn to backstage producers or agents. Others open their podcasts to discuss the current happenings of the wrestling world. Very few foray into opening their very own wrestling promotion. But when you're the first WWE superstar of note from a country that houses around 1.4 billion people, there is a massive business opportunity. And to his credit, Khali capitalized on this niche and opened his own Continental Wrestling Entertainment in 2015. Former WWE star Shanky Singh and NXT's Kavita Devi were a CWE product. Granted, the two didn't light the wrestling world exactly, but it wouldn't be a surprise if the next Indian WWE superstar were Khali's student. Hall of Fame induction. The Hall of Fame induction is a very special part of any wrestler's journey in the industry. However, not everyone who has competed between the ropes gets the honor of winning the accolade, and the select few who do become immortal in the wrestling folklore. That being said, the Great Khali wouldn't have been the topmost priority for many wrestling fans to be included in the elite list, at least not in 2021. Hence, the announcement that the 7-foot-plus behemoth would be included in the class of 21 was met with mixed reactions. Regardless of the outside chatter, Khali got inducted in the prestigious Hall of Fame along with fellow giant Kane that year. Marvelous verdict. Let's face it, the Great Khali is not among the greatest of giants who have dazzled the WWE. However, it would be harsh not to admire the will of the individual who decided to pursue a career in a profession many people in his native country don't even know about. He might not have been the most gifted between the ropes, but not everyone has to be. Khali was a unique attraction, at least initially in his career with a Stanford-based promotion, and for the rest of his years with a wrestling juggernaut, he was a decent enough roster member.